Alright, so in this video, I want to show you how this whole cinematic scrolling thing was built. It's a landing page for a fictional perfume brand I call Nocturne. So yeah, this is a French word. And the idea behind this was to make scrolling feel less like a website and more like watching a short film. Now, before I scroll through it, let me quickly tell you where it came from. The whole thing actually started as one small detailed prompt. And my first version was pretty basic, just about 4 sections. And I generated in 4 completely different themes to see which one clicked the best. And this fragrance one stood out to me. So that's the one I kept polishing into what you're gonna see now. I'll throw that original prompt up on the screen. And the main thing to notice is the backbone. Lenis, GSAP, and ScrollTrigger. That's the engine the whole thing is built on. So let me just walk you through it section by section, and as we go, I'll point out the technique behind each part. Nothing too technical, I just want you to get the ideas. So let's begin. So right on load, you'll get this loader, a counter ticking from 0 to 100, and then the whole thing lifts away like a curtain. And then the name doesn't just appear, it resolves out of a blur, one letter at a time. And the way it works, there's a little tool called split text. It's a GSAP plugin, and all it does is take a line of text and wrap every single letter in its own element. When each letter is its own thing, you can animate them separately. So I start them blurry, lowered, and invisible, and bring them up sharp with a tiny stagger. And the smoke behind everything, that's not a video or a GIF, it's a shader. Basically, a tiny program running on your graphics card that draws that smoke pixel by pixel live every frame. That's why it actually drifts and reacts instead of just looping. Now, watch what happens as I scroll down. The second I reach the next section, it kind of locks into place. The section pins itself and holds while the animation plays out. So you're not just sliding past it, you're held inside the moment. And here's the thing I want you to notice. This section is basically just one image and a couple of lines of text. That's it. But instead of feeling flat and static, all this little effect elevated into something that feels expensive. As you read the line, the photo blurs and the word lights up one at a time, following your scroll. And then at the very end, the image splits down the middle and parts like two doors with a gold seam glowing into the gap. And that will reveal the bottle behind it. Next up is the bottle, and honestly, this is probably my favorite part. That rotation is a video, but I'm driving it with a scroll. Now, here's what most people will get wrong. If you just take a normal MP4 and tie it to your scroll, it looks broken. It stutters and freezes. And here's why. A normal video is built to play straight through, not to jump around. So to keep the file small, it only saves a few complete frames, and all the frames in between just store what changed from the one before. So when you try to jump straight to one exact moment, which is basically what scrolling does, it can't land there. It snaps to the nearest complete frame instead, and that's the stutter you're seeing. So the fix is to re-encode the video so that every single frame is a complete picture. And that's easier than it sounds. You run it through a free tool called FFmpeg, which is just a command line video converter with a setting that forces every frame to be a full keyframe. People call it all interrupt. It makes the file a little bit bigger, but now you can jump to any exact frame instantly. So every scroll position has its own frame, and the rotation stays nice and smooth. And here's a side note on how I even made this clip. I generated the bottle as a still image first. Then I used an image to video tool with a start frame and an end frame to create the rotation. And one more small detail that really matters. The video has a dark background. If I left the smoke showing behind it, you would literally see a black rectangle sitting on top of the moving smoke. And that looks cheap. So for just this section, I switched the background to solid black that matches the video background. And now the bottle just floats with no edges. It's a small detail, but a big difference. Then we get into the three notes of the fragrance: top, heart, and base. And instead of ingredient photos, each note is its own full screen scene. The way the crossfade works under the hood is pretty simple. All three scenes are stacked on top of each other, and I'm just controlling the opacity based on your scroll position, fading one out while the next fades in. But here's a trick that makes it more intentional. So instead of a straight constant fade, each scene holds at full for a second before it starts switching. So there's a little delay. That means if you scroll really fast, you can catch two scenes blurred together. It always resolves to one clean image first. This one's the ritual, applied once, remembered slowly. The layout is split, words on the left, a tall image on the right. And watch the image. It doesn't just fade in, it opens up from nothing. It starts as a thin line in the middle and expands outward to full height, like it's developing in front of you. That's done by animating the clip, basically a mask that I open up as you scroll. And the words play along too. Applied once snaps in, but remembered slowly, literally resolved slowly, fading up over a longer scroll so the text is doing what it says. And there's one more little touch. You'll see a bit of sand vapor drifting up of the skin. And that's actually just a couple of soft blurry shapes that floats upward and fade out on a loop, blended over the image. It's pure CSS, no video, but it gives the whole thing that subtle living feel. Now it goes really quiet. This is the trace. What's left after you're gone? Almost the whole screen is empty, and that's on purpose. The line shows up, holds for a second, and then it falls apart. Every letter drifts off in its own direction, getting blurrier and fading out, like the sun dissipating into the air. It's the same letter splitting idea from the hero, but completely reversed. Instead of assembling, it scatters. And all that's left behind is the bare smoke. Then, the limited release, the scarcity moment. You get this huge number ticking up from 1 to 300 as you scroll, which is the size of the edition. And I use fixed width figures so the number doesn't jiggle as the digits change. And that little speck card next to it is real frosted glass. That's not a fake blurry image. It's a CSS backdrop blur. So it's actually frosting the smoke that's moving live behind it. As the smoke shifts, the frost shifts with it. And then we get the finale, which ties the whole thing together. Remember how the last section scattered the words away? Here they come back, and once it lands, a gold shimmer runs across it. Then the bottle shows up one more time in this offset, editorial 2 image layout. And the button down here is magnetic. It actually leans toward your cursor as you get close. Plus, there's a warm glow that follows your mouse around. So the line, "the night reveals you," becomes something you can feel. And the nice little touch when you click reserve, it doesn't just jump, it glides you all the way back up through every section to the top, like the whole night rewinds. So that's the whole thing. 8 section, one idea, the night reveals you. And here's the real takeaway. This entire sequence started as one structured prompt, and I'll put the full thing in the description. It should work in pretty much any model. You'll just have to test it yourself and see what your AI does it with it. So if you like this kind of cinematic scroll, just copy my whole prompt, paste it into the AI of your choice. and go. And if you want a totally different theme, a car, a watch, a hotel, whatever, you can swap that in really easy and then just refine the transition between section one by one. The point is you start with the big idea and the structure already in place. So the AI builds you something generally decent on the very first try. From there, the rest is just you. Put your creative at work, direct the sequence the way you see it in your head, and bring it to life. That's the fun part. So that's it. I hope this gave you some ideas for your next project. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.